Whoosh! Hello BookTube, it is Tuesday and I'm back with another video. Guess what I'm reading right now? Do you know what this means? Do you know what this means? I'm reading Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which means I finished this. I guess I should hold it like this because it's Hogwarts. I have finished the entire Harry Potter series. So let's see if I can name them all. Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban, Goblet of Fire, Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, Deathly Hallows. Did I do it right? I am not obsessed, I promise. But I thought I would share some of my thoughts with you. If you have not read the Harry Potter series, or if you have not seen the movies, or if you don't know all of the spoilers, I will do a short segment that is for you, and then after that you need to turn this video off, and if you do not, I will come there and personally turn it off because I would hate to spoil this for you, and I have to include spoilers to give you my full thoughts, especially for my friends who just want to discuss it because they've been almost spoiling things for me for years now. So, I am going to start by saying that the books that I cried the hardest in were number 4 and number 7, Goblet of Fire and Deathly Hallows. I'm going to take this out of the box now so that first you can see the box. That is the other side of the box. It is Harry, Ron, and Hermione and Hogsmeade. If you have not read the full series, I really, really want you to get a glimpse of my thoughts, but I don't want to spoil anything for you. So, hold on. There we go. Okay, so my first initial reactions to Sorcerer's Stone is that it's a really thin, really simple book, and I was like, aw, this is a cute story. And then Chamber of Secrets was like, oh, what? Whoa, cool. And then Prisoner of Azkaban was a little bit more intense, and I was like, this is crazy. And the final 50 to 100 pages of this book are the most amazing things I've ever read. And then the Goblet of Fire was good. It was a little long. I started to realize that this series is going to suck my soul out. Actually, I learned that it was going to suck my soul out in Prisoner of Azkaban. Get it? Get it? Oh wait, you don't get it necessarily if you haven't read him. Okay. Goblet of Fire was good. A lot of people said this one's the best, especially that this movie's the best. I'm gonna probably disagree with that. They spent a little too much time with Hermione and the house elves in this one. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix was really good. This is the longest book. Not a lot of people know that. But I'm pretty sure this is the longest book. In this edition, it is 800 pages, and it was kind of the bane of my existence. By the time I was on, like, page 500, I was like, what am I going to do when I finish this? Because my life will feel like it's over, because this is taking my entire life. And 6, I will be very, very careful here, because my brother has not finished this, but the first, part that we have read together, he's read up till here. So I have to say that this one gets better, and if you don't know who the Half-Blood Prince is and it's killing you, I'm sorry, because I was there just a few weeks ago. I was going through every single character and questioning whether they were the Half-Blood Prince, even if they were a princess, like a girl, or even if they were full-blooded, like a full-blood wizard, or a muggle. I would just question. I'm like, are they the Half-Blood Prince? I don't know anymore. So that one was keeping me on the edge of my seat, and it really sets up the final book well. And Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was amazing because the series finally reached its climax. So that's 4 minutes of video already just for you who have not read all of the series. If you don't want things spoiled for you, and please trust me, you don't want things spoiled for you, you can turn off the video now. Wait, go do it. Okay. If you have read the series and if you are watching the rest of this video, hi! all the feels. I cried hardest in the 7th one. I cried at Cedric Diggory. I'm sorry, I say it wrong every time. Cedric Diggory. Cedric Diggory was amazing, and in my mind, he was like the cutest blonde kid you have ever seen, and Cedric and I are soulmates. And when he died, I didn't cry, but when Harry's parents came out and Cedric came out of Voldemort and Harry's wands while they were joined in that final scene, and Cedric, I've got to find it. He says, "Take me back to my parents. Take my body back to my parents, Harry." I just sobbed. And this was when my mom was still reading them aloud to me. I cried when someone was reading it aloud to me. That is very difficult to do because you're like so focused on like the people in the room and they're like all, reacting to it. I wasn't like buried completely in the book, but I still cried because that was so sad and so sweet. And I didn't cry in the movie as much, but they did spend a little bit too much time with Hermione and the house elves. I'm pretty sure it was this one. Yeah. I'm glad that they cut that from the movie. My brother, says that this is the best movie there is. I don't think so. I haven't watched the last 3 movies for the last 2 books, and I can't wait to. I'm so excited. But Deathly Hallows, guys, we have to talk about Deathly Hallows because it summed everything up, and let's be honest, the last 100 pages of every single book is when the action actually happens. Like, Sorcerer's Stone is really boring until you get to where the Sorcerer's Stone and Voldemort are. Chamber of Secrets, same way. Everything that happens in the Chamber of Secrets is so intense. And I have to say, from the very beginning of Chamber of Secrets, when Ginny runs out of the room because she's embarrassed that Harry is there, I knew that Harry and Ginny were going to get married, and I was right. Someone actually told me because I said, "Please tell me if Harry and Ginny get married, because I know that they get married. I called it from the 2nd book. You have to tell me." And they were like, "You were right. You called it." And I was like, yes! So the rest of the series, especially in Order of the Phoenix, when all that drama is going on, and Half-Blood Prince, when all the girl-boy drama is going on, and Ginny's dating Dean and random people, and I'm just like, you belong with Harry. Go back to Harry. Someone asked me today, do Hermione and Harry get married? And I was like, how dare you? But they didn't know, and so I tried not to spoil it for them. But in the last few pages of Deathly Hallows, after the final battle, you find out that Harry and Ginny definitely get married, and Hermione and Ron definitely get married, and that made me so happy because that's how it's supposed to be. That is how it's supposed to be. If you ship Hermione and Harry, you are wrong, because they would never... That would not work. So, the deaths in Deathly Hallows, let's start with Mad Eye. I don't care about Mad Eye. But I had Fred's death spoiled for me. I had Dobby's death spoiled for me. I had Dumbledore's death spoiled for me, but I didn't know who killed him until that was spoiled for me. So I really felt like I should have been crying in Half-Blood Prince when Snape walks in and kills Dumbledore, but I didn't because I had it spoiled. Anyway, I hate spoilers, and I will forever be grateful to the people who resisted spoiling things for me, and I'm so glad that I'm finally done with the series so that I can just read everything without worrying about if there's a spoiler. I can discuss the books without worrying if there's a spoiler. The only thing I now have to worry about is spoiling it for other people. So when Lupin and Tonks got married and then they died and left a son, I was really, really sad. Like, that should not have happened. Like, he is the next Harry Potter, I feel like. But apparently he's not the next Harry Potter, Cursed Child. So Cursed Child is really interesting. I'm in Act 2, and we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so in Deathly Hallows, I knew Fred died, so I didn't cry when Fred died. I felt like that was a moment, I felt like I missed that moment, because every millennial has cried over Fred's death and Dobby's death, and I couldn't, because I knew it was coming, and I was just like, oh, he died. And then George and Ron are like crying over his body, and I'm like, my cold dead heart. I'm not crying over Fred Weasley's death. So that was a little disturbing that I couldn't enjoy this book fully. But I like that they're searching for the Horcruxes and that they're searching for the Hollows. I'm glad that they made the right decisions, and I'm glad that they were heroes to the end. And I also knew that Harry was going to die and be resurrected, so that was a spoiler. I promise this video didn't start out. I wasn't planning on ranting about spoilers, but I will try to be calm and I will try to finish talking about the series. So, Harry faces death, and that was when I cried. The moment in Deathly Hallows where he walks towards the forest where Voldemort is waiting for him was awful. I couldn't handle it. And you find out about Snape's history in Deathly Hallows. And I didn't cry in that part, but it was so beautiful, and I love seeing the full story, and I loved that we got the Prince's Tale. Yeah, that's what it's called. So it's really good, and I love that it came just at the end, and it prepared Harry to go face Voldemort, but it didn't feel like it was tacked on. I felt like Rowling did a really good job. Yeah, that's how you're supposed to say her last name. I've been saying Rowling, it's actually Rowling, but she doesn't care anymore how people pronounce her name. Fun fact. So she wove throughout the entire series the goodness and almost evilness of Severus Snape, but I believed he was good up until about the 5th book, and then I was like, I think he's actually serving Lord Voldemort, but the whole time Dumbledore trusted him, and I should have trusted Dumbledore. So that's like the whole thing, is you should have trusted Dumbledore, and so you should trust Severus Snape. And he was good. He was good all along. And I believe Draco Malfoy can be redeemed. I believe the last book left him wide open. She should have worked on closing his character more and bringing him to the light a little bit more. I felt like he was really, really, really bad, especially in Half-Blood Prince. And then he got, like, to the middle again. And then he didn't cross the line. He didn't cross the threshold and, like, fight the Death Eaters or become friends with Harry Potter. Even though Harry Potter and Ron and Hermione, like, saved his life multiple times in Deathly Hallows. Okay. This is it. I found it. Like rain on a cold window, these thoughts pattered against the hard surface of the incontrovertible truth, which was that he must die. I must die. It must end. Ron and Hermione seemed a long way away, in a far-off country. He felt as though he had parted from them long ago. There would be no goodbyes and no explanations. He was determined of that. This was a journey they could not take together, and the attempts that would make to stop him would waste valuable time. Oh, the attempts they would make to stop him would waste valuable time. He looked down at the battered gold watch he had received on his 17th birthday. Nearly half of the hour allotted by Voldemort for his surrender had elapsed. He stood up. His heart was leaping against his ribs like a frantic bird. Perhaps it knew it had little time left. Perhaps it was determined to fulfill a lifetime's beats before the end. He did not look back as he closed the office door. And then he heads towards the forest, and he knows he's gonna die, and it's so beautiful because it's like what Jesus did for us. So overall, redeeming qualities of these books, there are so many redeeming qualities. Like if you think about house elves and how they're treated, but how we shouldn't be treating them badly. Or if you think about, in a different way, us as house elves, and are we Dobby or are we Creature? Are we serving our master out of resentment, or are we serving him because we adore him and he's the most amazing thing that ever happened to us because he freed us? And that was like one of the most redeeming things about this book, even almost more than Harry Potter dying. Like obviously that's symbolic of Jesus' death on the cross for us, but if you think about the way the friendships and the way the characters serve one another and love each other and root for each other, it's just an amazing picture, and there's so much symbolism in each one of these, but Deathly Hallows was packed with it. It was all about power and who you're going to serve and how people can change and how you can always save people and redeem them and give them second chances. And it was so beautiful and I love it so much. Okay, a few more thoughts on Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I am on Act 2 and so far so good. Harry's son, Albus, is the main character. If you've read this, you're good. So I'm going to assume at this point that you have read Cursed Child. If not, turn this off because more spoilers. Albus gets sorted into Slytherin, and Harry isn't very happy with him, and there's this really awkward tension between them, and I don't like that, because Harry Potter gets along with everyone except for Draco Malfoy and Snape, and then they turn out to be good. And Voldemort, obviously, like, Voldemort has to be defeated, so Harry defeats Voldemort. But, I don't like that he's at odds with his own son. I don't feel like, I mean, obviously this is 19 years after he defeats Voldemort, so there's a lot of fame surrounding Harry, and there's a lot of things that his children would have to deal with. Can you imagine being the child of Harry Potter? And that's what this book, or this play, I should say, explores. And as an actress, as someone who loves theater and is a patron of the arts, I appreciate that this isn't a play, because even though it doesn't have all the description of a book, and even though it's not as easy to see as a movie, Cursed Child as a play is really interesting. I can see it playing out on a stage in my head. That's how I'm reading it. And it's interesting because you're seeing a different side of the characters. You're seeing them as they would be if they were standing right in front of you. And it brings the series to life in a way that the books don't really, and the movie doesn't really, because to see this on stage would be amazing. You would see the characters come to life in 3D, and they would be talking and interacting, and you'd see how real and gutsy this whole thing is. So I think that Cursed Child is bringing to life a lot of the characters, and it's showing how awful it would be to be Harry Potter's child in a sense, but I don't think it would be that awful, and I dislike the tension between Albus and Harry, and I'm really hoping that it'll be cleared up by the end of this book. So, I hope that you pick up a copy of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child if you haven't read it, and I enjoyed the series so much. Overall, I would give it a 4 out of 5. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it, but I liked it, and that is where we are for now. So I will talk to you later, and don't forget, the book was better.